Hello, my name is Mike Ogilvie. I'm a chartered accountant by training, but in the speaking and the business advisory world, I'm known as the profit man. I'm a profit coach, and I earn my money by helping businesses make more profit, make more sales, and become more effective, and at the same time having a better quality of life. So I'm looking forward to coming out to Bulgaria and to sharing some tried and tested ideas, not just theory, some of it theory, but theory that works. But mostly, I'd like to share some practical tips of what's working in my life when I go around businesses around the world. And it's amazing how many businesses think that they're different, and it's different in where I come from compared to where they are. So I've been given a list of questions that I should ask myself for the viewers in Bulgaria. And I'll be delighted to meet any of you when I come out in the end of May with Derek Arden for the conference being run by To The Top. So the first question is, why is it important to live your life with a purpose? What happens when we allow ourselves to drift with the flows of the current? When I talk at conferences, I use what I call the Zambezi principle, where I was brought up in Africa. And I shared the idea that so many people are just like a bit of flotsam. I talk about a duck floating, taken by the currents of the river. And sometimes when you go to the Victoria Falls, quite often just by the side, the water is calm. And quite often businesses find themselves in the calm water totally by accident rather than on purpose. Because most businesses love the fast life. They love being in the fast lane. And of course, they don't have any brakes, they don't have any safeguards, and they end up getting faster and faster, having faster cars, bigger businesses, bigger houses, bigger holidays, until the currents go too fast, and like the Zambezi, it goes over the precipice at Victoria Falls. And that's why I try and encourage businesses to live their lives on purpose, to try and avoid making the mistakes that the fast livers make, because they are interested in the high turnover, the high sales and the high profits without thinking in terms of things like cash flow, which are so important. They're the things that put brakes on business to try and keep some common sense there. So these are the areas why you have to live on purpose. You have to have a plan. You have to have a direction. You have to know when to put brakes on. You need to know where you can have help, because it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. You need to know the areas that you might need to have help, rather than not just the people you need to have help. And you need to be able to put it in a plan that you will share not only with your colleagues but with your team as well. So it really is important to live life on purpose rather than by accident, and just trusting yourself to the vagaries of the currents of life, as I put it. So, question 2. Should we get rid of the fear of failure and take our lives in our own hands? I think that's similar to what we've already been talking about. If you plan, you can identify the areas of risk. So many people don't plan. So many people start businesses and they have a plan right at the beginning, and then they forget because they get taken over by what a speaker in America called Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth. He calls it the tyranny of routine. Doing it, answering the phone call, dealing with queries, dealing with your customers. So you forget about your plan because you come in, and next thing you know, you're looking at your emails, answering your phone calls, and all the plans go out the window. So again, once you do that, you're trusting yourself to the vagaries, to the currents of life. If you know where the areas of risk, you eliminate the fear of failure, because failure never comes into the equation. You can never discount that factors outside your control won't happen. But you can actually try and say, well, if this happens, what can you do to limit the level of risk? How do you protect yourself? How can you make sure that you limit the amount of cash where you can be exposed? There's so many areas, it's such a detailed area, but the people who have fear of failure, normally the people who never are prepared to run a business. They're never prepared to stick their heads above the parapet to be shot at. They're never prepared to actually take control of their lives. So they will imagine things that just don't exist because they've never been in that position. The true entrepreneurs tend to go into businesses and they tend to take measured risks where they've identified the chances of failure and they've limited the chances of failure. And that's the best way of actually eliminating the fear of failure. So, the next question. How will having a purpose in life make us more successful at work and in our relationships with other people? Well, again, same sort of story. How could having a sense of purpose in life, so many people have little purpose. They just exist. And if you have a sense of purpose, you become a leader. You influence people by the way you behave, the way you lead your own life. And the difference between leadership and management is something that I'll be covering when I am talking at the conference. And it's so important. So many people think they're leaders when actually all they are is managers. And I love the quote where leaders are for people, but managers are for tasks. You cannot manage people. You don't know what side of the bed they're going to get up in the morning. What you've got to do is manage the tasks that those people are going to be doing. You've got to manage the systems that those people are going to be operating under, that are going to give the checks to those people, to allow them to live on purpose, to allow them to know what will happen if they are successful, to allow them to know what will happen if they do their jobs right, and how they will benefit the company and in the end benefit themselves. It really is not difficult, and it is common sense. But do you remember the old adage? Common sense, unfortunately, is not that common. So living life on purpose sets you out as a leader, helps you to influence others and help them on their way. If they can lead a structured life in business, you'll find they'll be much more structured in their personal life as well. And they won't take unnecessary risks, but they will take risks, but they are managed risks. So the next question, what advice would you give to people who have not reached their goal yet and are tired of failing? Well, so many entrepreneurs have failed. They've taken measured risks. Most people end up with short of cash, but the true entrepreneurs are never worried about it because they always know there's plenty of cash out there, but there's a shortage of ideas. There's loads of people with loads of ideas, but never have got the will to take action to make those happen. So I don't see that as a major problem. I mean, if they've not reached their goal, you've got to think of somebody like Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb. And people cast him as a failure. And he just said, no, I just made sure that before I got the correct light bulb, I made sure that the light bulbs that didn't work, I got them out of my system. He went through failure. He expected to go through failure before he invented one that worked. He didn't see himself as a failure. Others saw him as a failure, but of course changed their mind and celebrated him when he was successful. You look at Dyson, who's now replaced. Everybody used to have a Hoover. Now everybody wants to have a Dyson. He was rejected by so many people. He was even rejected by Hoover when he came out with his concept of a bagless vacuum cleaner. And people looked at him as a failure, but now he's an amazing success. So always understand that despite the number of times you might fail, persistence is the key to success. The people who are the best salespeople are the ones who are not bothered by the fact that somebody says no. The old adage that I think is right, and I would probably say more than right, is the best salesman goes to somebody at least 7 times before they start giving in. I would say the best salesman is prepared, if the prospect is good enough, to go to people at least 10 or more times, but do it in a way that generally they will get the sale in the end, because persistence pays. And it's the same with people with goals. Persistence pays. Never give up. Those people who give up forget how to get up again, and so they will never win because they let their mindset overcome them. So, the next question. Do successful people have something in common? A quality, perhaps? I think yes. I think the main quality that I see in successful people is focus. And they also know what they can do, but even most importantly, they know what they can't do. So if they're focused on their goals and objectives, they find the people who can help them. They find out what if they can't do that, who can they get? How, even if they have to pay them more, ultimately they will earn more. So those people who are successful have that characteristic. They never swerve from their direction. They have a clear vision, they have a clear focus, they have a clear goal, and they understand what they have to do. They define their what. They ask themselves why, they check why, make sure it's certain, and then only then do they work out how. So many people get stuck into the how, and they haven't actually properly defined what they're trying to achieve and why they're trying to achieve it. But the best and most successful people have the focus. They've clearly defined their what. They know how they will benefit at the end if they're successful. And in the end, they are great successes and celebrated by everybody. So persistence pays. Give you focus, and you will make sure that you will be a success. Right, next question. Can you give any advice for a successful and happy life? Well, it depends what a happy life is for everybody. I would say the most important factor in a happy life is having good health and having time to spend with your family. So many people are workaholics. They sacrifice their family life, they sacrifice their marriages because they're married to their work. How can they be happy? You see so many rich people who are unhappy. So people have to define what they mean by happiness, because it's certainly not money. Money helps, but it's not the be-all and end-all of being happy. Being happy is having a life that is balanced. It's having work that is successful. It is being part of something that is respected by other people. It's being part of something that makes a difference to other people. It's being part of something where your efforts are recognised and people are grateful for what you do, so you're acknowledged for what you do. There's an amazing number of areas that affect whether you're happy or not. Just by being rich or having loads of money doesn't make a difference. The number of people who've retired having sold their businesses that I know who are bored after 3 months playing golf or going out on their boat or lying in the sunshine or whatever they're doing, they are ready for another challenge because mentally they need to keep themselves occupied. So I would say the best recipe for a successful and happy life is having focus in terms of knowing what you want to do, but having balance so that you can have the right time to spend with your families, with your friends, and enjoy your own time as well. That is really important. The most important person in life in the end is you. And sometimes we're the ones who go without. We're the valves who go without. So to be happy, get some balance in your life. Right, last question. You are a marathon runner. Well, marathon runner's too hard. My wife is a marathon runner. She's done an Ironman, which is amazing. I do half marathons rather than full marathons. And how has that changed my life? Well, I think, apart from helping make me fitter, it has helped me realise that when life gets painful, like when running, you suddenly find your legs start hurting. When you're climbing up a hill, your lungs start giving up, your heart starts pumping, and you just realise that you have to achieve your goals one bit at a time. So if you're going up a very steep hill, it's not a criminal act to walk the bit that you can't run. And you just say, well, okay, if I'm going to catch up my time, let's try and make sure I run faster down the hill, but let's have a goal. But normally, if I'm doing it, I would have preferred to have checked out the course before. I would have checked out where the hills were. I would have roughly got an idea where I will be in what time so that I can be successful. And it's the same with business. I have to set milestones in business. I have an overall vision, but I have to have an overall goal for what I want to do, and that's broken down into milestones where I can measure my progress. So I think running has helped me not only to be physically fitter, and to allow me to have a sharper mind, because the research shows that the fitter you are, the more sharper you are mentally, but it's also helped me to realise actually running can be quite painful, can be quite lonely, and you just have to break down the course that you're running into small chunks rather than looking at the 26 miles or the 13 miles that you have to run in one whole section, which is much harder. And last but not least, have you been to Bulgaria? Yes, I have been to Bulgaria. What do I think of the country? Well, I've actually got land I own in the country, in Bansko. I've got a great plot of land very near the ski lift. Luckily, I didn't start developing it before the property crash happened. I love the country. I love the openness, the clean air, apart from when all the fires are burning, because it's amazing when I went to Bansko in the winter. You know when everybody's coming into town because the fires start burning and your lungs smell the smoke. But I just love Bulgaria. It's a land of tremendous opportunity. It's very friendly, and I just loved the opportunity to be back speaking in Bulgaria, to share ideas, and I look forward to coming again, because I'll certainly be back to look at the land in Bansko, to find the right time to develop it into whatever we're going to do with it, and then to look at helping other businesses to prosper, to grow, and to become more profitable. So I hope you're going to be there at the conference. I hope to see you. I hope to share loads of ideas with you, with my colleague Derek Arden, who's the negotiation specialist in the world. I look forward to having fantastic 2 days in Sofia, and I look forward to meeting you in the very near future. Bye for now.